And so we are right now, or very soon to be live on YouTube. Welcome to the Joffrey Podcast YouTube crowd. You guys know that you guys always go first. And so what we're going to do right now is you go first, kind of so we could test the audio. We know we had audio issues last week. We want to make sure they're good to go. And so I am launching. Yeah, that's true. Okay, so Thrones season 8 episode 4. Alrighty, and so we will go live there. And once this starts up, theoretically, we will be live on Facebook. And there's my phone going off. Let me turn that off. This is the fun stuff. This is the fun stuff that only you guys get on YouTube and now Facebook. The before show blather as we try to confirm everything is working. And now we will go live. Let's preview the broadcast on Twitter. Yeah. Okay, my channel. And then I will mute the Twitter so we don't have any feedback. And I will hit go live there as well. And so, hey, everybody, stand by. We are going to be live in 1 sec. And so now I will hit the live stream on YouTube and see how that sounds. So now I will hit the live stream on YouTube and see how that sounds. Okay, we're going to just do a couple more tests, everybody. Go ahead and give us your notes. I see Shayna Mason wrote, yay. I hope I can read that right. It's very tiny. Sounds good. Thank you so much. We're going to try. We're really going to try. Let's go to Facebook real quick and make sure that looks good, because that's the only one in my little browser window here that does look a bit rough, like it didn't actually start for some reason. Come on, Facebook. Let's see how you doing. And then we'll check Twitter, and then we'll get going. I hope you guys, listeners, have a lot of comments. This was a long episode. There was a lot going on. I want to hear how you guys, we always want to include you double L's. Loyal latency, that's the double L feedback. So let's turn up Facebook and come on, Facebook. Let's see. Okay, so that to me sounds good on Facebook. We don't have any comments there yet. Now we'll go live and check the Twitter stream, and then we'll get going. If anybody knows if they've released the episode title, go ahead and tell us. We want to know. So write it in the comments, tweet it at us. We want to know. Once again, once I check this Twitter stream, make sure it sounds good. We're going to get going. We're going to dive into this big, it felt long episode, and we're going to give you our opinions. Our opinions only matter so much. We want to know your opinion. So if my frigging computer could go quickly, if it could go quickly and start, son of a gun. Okay. So anybody here, while you're wondering, you're like, God, why do we have to hear this blather so much? It's mainly because Tim Cook loves joking my devices. So I've got an old iPad here, and I'm like clicking go to the profile, and it's not going. It's like, I don't want to go. Whatever it takes, I will go as slow as possible. Guys, we only have 2 more episodes after this. Is that crazy? Oh my goodness gracious. Alrighty, so now we are going to turn up Twitter and make sure it sounds okay. Loves joking my devices, so I've got an old iPad here. That gives everybody the idea of the delay, which I hope you appreciate. One last thing, and then we're going to get going. We're going to dive in. We're going to talk about Game of Thrones Season 8, Episode 4, title to be released in a bit of time. My name's Bubba. You guys know me. You can find me on Twitter at FitandTrim. That's FITTENTRIM at FitandTrim on Twitter. And with me, as always, spoiler alert, is... Now, we haven't started... Right, so we haven't started the podcast yet. We're just literally begging my slow Apple device to frigging move. I'm like, throw me a bone, device. Let's start moving. Please, let's start going. Okay, I think if I hit this thing, If I hit it, it brings me here, and then we can start recording, and we're going to hit that button there, and we go there. And so, okay, you ready, Catfish? Let's start recording. Let's get to this. Everybody, give your comments away. I'm going to hit record there, and then, Catfish, you ready? I know, this was the longest previously on ever. Of the Joffrey podcast. I don't have Game of Thrones. It's like we are flapping our yappers. All right, so we're going to be up in 3, 2, 1. Welcome to the Joffrey of podcast. My name's Bubba, and with me as always is Catfish. Can you believe it? I can't believe it. We have just there are 2 more episodes left. We just watched Game of Thrones Season 8, Episode 4. We don't know the title yet. Holy smokes, there's so much to discuss. We've got to jump through so much. Let's hear it, Catfish. Let's get to it right at the top. What is your ranking out of 10 for this 4th episode of Season 8?
Down to a 7 for all the reasons I talked about. You had talked about by the end of the podcast how much you really liked it, and then by the end of the podcast I was talking about how much of it I did not like, but I didn't revise my ratings. So last week's is a 7. This week I'm going to give it 8. For people who've been listening to the podcast for a long time, they know what double G stands for. So I'm going to give it 8 double G's out of 10.
Double G's? I don't remember double G's.
Yeah, well, and just to let you know, people on Twitter are saying they can't hear me at all. So I'm going to say it as loud as I can, even though it doesn't matter because they can't hear me at all. Or maybe they can. As we all know, double G stands for good ghost. Good ghost. What a good boy.
Oh,
Ghost,
man.
you're a good boy. And Ghost is, he's going to be living the life.
I thought your double G was for Ghost Gone. Ghost got an exit, apparently.
No.
Goodbye, Direwolf.
Good ghost. That's a good ghost. Who's a good ghost? You're a good ghost.
Well, Catfish,
He
8 out of 10.
is going to have, I thought he would be dead, and it turns out Ghost is going to be in the safest place possible now that the White Walkers are gone. He's going to be up north, living large.
He has some new scars that are going to make him look real good to the other direwolves. They're going to be like, you look great. So 8 out of 10. Why that ranking, Catfish? Let's hear it.
Well, I personally think there's going to be a lot of angst and people really upset about this episode because this is where it really turns. Now, I have read a lot of stuff about people being upset about what is happening to Daenerys, quote unquote, what the show is doing to Daenerys. And so I thought about that a lot. And honestly, I think that her storyline tracks. I mean, she gave a lot of talk to being the breaker of the chains. But to be honest, if you really look at the way the show's been dealing with her, she hasn't really learned and lets her anger get the best of her. And so I'm give it 8 simply because that stuff reads true to me and it is juicy. I think there's going to be a lot of Daenerys stans who are going to be upset about this direction, but I think it's the right direction. That's super exciting. Sadly, we lost Missandei. That was a big loss. But in general, I was very excited about the way that it went. And I was down on the Daenerys and Sansa issue, their struggles, their conflict earlier in the season. But I think that's bearing fruit, and I think I was a little bit harder on it. I think this is a true struggle. The fact that I felt bad and sort of mistreated as a viewer by them getting rid of the White Walkers so fast. For me, as I talked about last week, the White Walkers was the big bad. I felt like that should have been saved for last. Since it wasn't, and now I'm moving on from that, I really like what they did with this episode. I'm probably only giving it an 8 because of still residual being upset from last week about how it all went down and how most of it I couldn't see because it was too dark. So anyway, I've blathered on. Bubba, what did you rate this episode as?
Well, Catfish, I gotta say, first and foremost, we had a comment here. We always do these podcasts live after the episode, and we have somebody on our YouTube chat. I believe it's Shauna Mason. She wrote, "Ghost survives and takes the Iron Throne." Good answer. Isn't that? It's possible at this rate. I'd say it's completely possible now. I'm gonna go ahead and give my ranking, and my ranking is 9, what I like to call double N's out of 10.
Oh yeah, double N's. I mean, we use that all the time.
And everybody knows double N stands for no. In other words, really it stands for no means no. And that's what the Hound says. If you're trying to get busy with the Hound and he says no, no means no. The cold shoulder never felt so cold as when it came from the Hound. 9 out of 10. I really, really liked the beginning of the episode. Everybody's so happy. When was the last time we saw a lot of people partying on this show? Was it in episode 1 when Robert arrived way back when? When was the last time we saw any party where it was actually happy? We've seen a lot of weddings. Haven't been too happy.
Completely disagree. The red wedding was so happy. And then at a certain point, it was not so happy for some people, yet still happy for others.
50-50 happiness right there. So I love the beginning. And I was just kind of, then, as you said, the icy stares between Sansa and Daenerys. I kind of have to be honest. I was like evil Uncle Tyrion at the beginning of this. I was like, Sansa, you need to thaw just a little bit. She saved you guys. Now, that said, I agreed with Sansa and Arya about, hey, we've suffered who knows how many casualties, how many wars have happened in the North since the series began. They could use a time to take a breather. But once we had a double D.
Are you saying this was a double D?
Once we had Dragon down, baby, I was like, oh, crap, it is on. And I loved it. I was like, oh, crap, this is great. And so, last week I was 8 out of 10. And then during the podcast, there were so many moments in the episode I loved that I boosted it up to 9. I actually feel like I should go back to 8 out of 10. As much as I cheered when Arya killed the Night King, it was a bit deflating that it was all over. Jon Snow has been telling us it's the only war that matters for so long that I was a bit deflated. Like, that's it. But boy, this politics, boy, these shocks.
Believed it.
Oh, yeah.
That I believed it.
But human beings.
Who knew the person who was right was Cersei? Cersei was right. Let them deal with it. This is not really an existential threat. The thing the show's been telling us for 8 years that the White Walkers are the existential threat to the humans, completely wrong.
I'm going to argue that. Listeners, if you want to write to us and tell us how you feel about this, go ahead and write us on Twitter and Instagram at DoublePHQ. That's the word double, the single letter P, the letters HQ for headquarters, at DoublePHQ. Facebook.com/@Facebook.com/DoublePHQ. On YouTube, we apologize. Just search Double P Podcast, Double P Media, or the Joffrey Podcast. We want to hear from you. Guys, I want to say this right at the top because it just still is blowing me away. We only have 2 more episodes, and it looks like we're going to go out with a gosh darn bang. But all you double L's.
Double L?
All you loyal listeners who've been putting up with our silliness all these seasons, I can't tell you strong enough from the bottom of my heart what interacting with all you listeners, seeing all the download stats, how wonderful it's been. If somehow you can make the Con of Thrones in July, we want to see you. We love you guys, and we do it for you. And I'm just going to miss you guys. I want you guys to hang with Double P as we go on and do other series coming out this summer, like we're going to do the Stars series, The Rook. We're going to do other things. We just want you with us. Catfish, what do you want to say to the Double L's with only 2 episodes left?
I mean, there are people who have been with us since the beginning who are they're strong. We've got a strong army. We have multiple dragons in our crew.
Right.
And we haven't lost any of them.
None.
We're way better than Daenerys. We've kept on to our dragons. And for those people have made this a true joy to do so. This is just awesome. So yes, please follow us to other shows that HBO should have done.
Hey, we've been counting down all season long people who are kind enough to write to us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, these kind of things. So we have more members of the Season 8 survivors. I'm going to read them real quick. We have Glenn Ewing, Caroline Tucker, John Wambacher, Kelly Underfoot, Marcus Chow, and Atris, Marcellus. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. You guys are so great. By writing to us, you're going to survive Season 8. Not like Rhaegal the Dragon, not like Missandei. Oh, tough ending for her. Ooh, she probably wishes she could have gone back to Noth, but you guys are going to survive.
I don't know. I mean, it was tough for her, but don't you think at the point when Gendry realized that he was going to be now Lord Friendzone, that he maybe wished he had suffered the same fate as Missandei?
He emotionally got decapitated by Arya. Ouch. Ouch, man, if I only couldn't relate as well as I do to being slammed like a girl like that. I mean, I've been rejected tougher than Gendry has. Sorry, what's
have
worse,
you
Catfish?
What's worse is being rejected and then have your lady go off with a hideously disfigured grump.
Right. I wanted them to go out with me, the hideously disfigured grump, but Gendry's girl, she left and, oh, Gendry's girl.
All right, let's get to it.
Well, wait, real quickly, sorry. I
Mhm.
always talk about iTunes reviews. They help us get noticed. We had a new iTunes review this week. Catfish, do you have it handy? Can you read it, or do you want me to read it?
Oh, man, not only did we have a new one, but if I'm thinking correctly, we actually had ones from years and years ago. We found a stalker.
Hey, now.
I only call them that because it's somebody who kept interacting with us after we ignored them for so long.
All right, so I'm going to go to iTunes first. iTunes first. It's 5 stars.
Do it.
The title of the review is Mike Killy Brought Me Here. And so this was a great 5-star review. They wrote, here I am to shout out my buddy Mike Killy, the leader of the Season 8 survivors. His tweets, too, and about Double P Media go way back to Season 3 or 4, persuaded me to check you out, and I've been a double L. Okay, ever since.
Double L.
You guys are very funny and creative, super entertaining with great predictions. Great pod. Thank you so much, friend of Michael Killy. We love you. Now, Catfish already got to it. You know, I decided, well, are there other places people could get podcasts from? And apparently, where you can go to Podbean and you can find us, the Joffrey podcast there. And so, sure enough, this person left some notes for us a year ago, and we just now saw them. But hey, you're still a double L. You're survived in Season 7. We love you.
All right, so Joey, read it. Is this correct? Is it Atris Marcellus?
Yeah, that's how I think it is.
Okay, great. I'll read the best one, where he said, "I love your enthusiasm for our beloved King Joffrey, first of his name, next President King on the 50 Kingdoms, the U.S. A great start to Season 7, and waiting with excitement that a live or been White Walker King Joffrey to appear. So many persons need straightening. Arthur, King of the Britons."
Oh, man, this is great. So he was writing us back. His first note on Podbean goes back to Season 7, Episode 6, 9 out of 10, Blue Ice Dragons. And he wrote us even before that. And so we apologize that any place you can leave a review, you're a double L, and you'll be entered in our contest for the end of the year. Okay, now let's get to the episode, Catfish. Let's get into it. Let's see if people have written anything. Everybody knows I do like to talk about the credits, so I'm going to go ahead and mention the very, very slight changes to the credits, which I love. Number 1, those blue tiles which had been flipping over to show the movement of the Night Kings, they stopped flipping. And then the second thing about the credits, Winterfell is ruined. Like, they go into the Great Hall of Winterfell, and it's gonna need some fixing up. Like, its Yelp review is gonna get rough because it's a mess. I love that in a credit. So good. So wonderful. I should have said last week's credits, there was a slight change of down in the crypts. The lamps went out, the fires went out in the crypts, and so that was our change last week. They say every week's credits is going to be something new, and so those were the credits for today. Catfish, did I miss anything in our favorite credits?
Not that I noticed, but you're more eagle eye on it than I am.
So we spend a lot of time at the beginning of the episode, saying goodbye to many of the people we lost last week. All the known characters we lost. Even our buddy Kono got a shout out.
Kono, I noticed Kono. And not only did they get briefly seen, but that means another episode credit for each of those persons. That's really nice.
It was really nice. This was very cold to me to say, but all it took for Sir Friendzone Jorah Mormont to get a kiss from Daenerys was death. That's all it took. If he had only known, he would have done this seasons ago.
Well, but he knew he couldn't. Not if he had the grayscale, so that's why I had to go get it fixed.
Oh man, that was tough. Was there any particular moment that you felt especially moved by? Obviously, Daenerys with Ser Jorah, Sansa, who had enjoyed some moment of peace before the big battle with Theon. She was there with him. Jon Snow was with Lyanna Mormont. I wonder if he was thinking, of all the time she smacked him around with her quick wit.
That was the one I felt sad for, simply because Lyanna was a boss.
Yeah, and she was really scarred up. When she took down the giant, she took a lot of pain and suffering, and I'm glad that they spent this moment. It is an awful lot of time. I'm just looking here on my counter on the episode, and they spent a good the first 10 minutes of the episode, more than 10 minutes, on this moment. Did you like it, Catfish? Did you like Jon Snow's? We'll make sure they're remembered. What did you think?
I love that. I want, we like to have feedback from our loyal listeners, and I have got a pitch for what Daenerys whispered to Sir Friendzone, but I want to have our loyal listeners come up with what they thought she whispered to him. I thought she said, and I'm not a great lip reader, but to me it seemed like she said, "I never loved you." But I could be wrong.
We got to face the truth. Listeners, if you have an idea of the things Daenerys whispered in dead Sir Friendzone's ear, write to us on Twitter. Catfish, you're so cold. Oh, it's so cold. Really, really tough. Oh, my goodness. But then after the good, more than 10 minutes saying goodbye to our friends, we move inside, and this is so unlike Game of Thrones, but I loved the happiness. I loved everybody having fun. Now, it ended kind of icy for some people, but I loved everybody having fun. Our boy Tormund, once again, was a star, was he not?
Oh, my God. I mean, well, honestly, before we get into that, I realized there were a few important things about the biggest barbecue ever.
Oh, no,
and
you mean
the one
funeral?
That I noticed was, oh my God. I mean, can you imagine? No wonder they wanted to eat afterwards. It probably smelled delicious. I mean, forget the fact that it's humans. It's a barbecue, and the biggest barbecue the North has ever seen.
Mance Rayder would have loved it.
The motto is burnt. He would have, but only if he had enough people to burn, because the motto is you burn your own.
BYOB. Burn your own barbecue. Oh man, Catfish, so cold. Let's
burn your own bodies.
Okay, are you done with this very sad funeral that you seem to be mocking?
I'm done. It's sad, but also it made you hungry, so they went inside to eat. And
now the first.
I mean,
the first moment inside is Gendry's looking around for his girl Arya, and the Hound's like, "Listen. They're dead. You're alive. Get on with it." So Gendry gets up. He's going to go find his girl when Queen Daenerys says, "Hello, your name's Gendry, right?" And it's like, "Ruh-roh, you're Robert Baratheon's son." I love that they cut away to Jaime showing him going, "Wait, what now? Hello." And we get a kind of a happy moment for Gendry. Daenerys is playing some real politics here. She's doing the thing that Jon Snow didn't do. Remember, after the Battle of the Bastards, they were like, well, should we give away the Karstark and the Umber Castle? Jon Snow was like, no. And Sansa was like, come on, let's reward the people with us. Daenerys is trying to build loyalty. She knows she's trying to build loyalty, and she names Gendry Baratheon, Lord of Storm's End. How do you feel for our boy before he had his heart broke? Did you like this moment?
I mean, I love this moment because it was to me, it was the old switcheroo. Like, they showed Samwell, who's like Ixnay on the Yorubarathnie, because he knows she likes to take out entire families, root and stem.
Yeah, as we're about to find out. But I liked it. I loved everybody giving him a toast. I loved that Daenerys knew she was doing it for politics. I love that Jon Snow with his BFF, even though if he really thought about it, he'd be like, your dad killed my dad, Gendry. Not cool. I thought it was fun. And the Hound, of course, he's the only one who doesn't stand up and toast. He hates it. Or at the very least, he's not going to celebrate somebody being named a lord.
I mean, look, everybody has the way they go through life, and it's clear that the Hound hates joy. So it's not a particular anger at Gendry or anyone being promoted. Just joy sours his milk.
What's interesting is after everybody is celebrating Gendry, Sansa, that's her first kind of look over at Daenerys as like, hey, what are you doing? Sansa, why would Sansa have a problem with this? That's Storm's End. That's hundreds of miles away from the north. It shouldn't affect you at all. But for some reason, Sansa doesn't like anything Daenerys does, and I don't agree with it. This is tough for me.
Well, I agree. I mean, even though I have a bad reaction to your people were right on both sides, Trumpian dynamic. I think that you're right in this case that both sides have a point and both sides are wrong in some way. So for me, even though I've hated this in the past, like I can see both sides. No one seems like they're being really outrageous, especially with the characters that have been developed. I did want to point out one thing because I had the subtitles on. And after Gendry gets named Lord Gendry, they had somebody dub in something in the background and subtitle. Someone says, "That's easy, isn't it?"
I hope that was Jon Royce saying that. I really hope he got in that little, he got in that little dig. That's my hope. I doubt it. He didn't really even get a line in this episode, so we don't know if he did or not. But I liked it a lot. We had a moment.
It was just so on point.
We had a moment where Davos is talking about the Red Woman, and it's almost like, he's like, I didn't get a chance to kill her. And I thought that was a very kind of interesting moment right then. He says that to Uncle Tyrion. Then Uncle Tyrion leaves him to go see Bran. And this is a moment that actually kind of really touched me and once again made me feel sorry for Bran. I know a lot of show watchers have issues with Bran. If you have an issue, write us and let us know. But I actually have always felt tough for Bran. And when Bran, it's like, you shouldn't envy me. I'm stuck living in the past. Oh, I felt sad at that moment for our creepy staring Bran. I've always liked it with the books. The show I've never felt has done a great job with him, partially because his journey so much is internal about, I want to be a knight, I want to climb, and now I'm trapped in a broken body. But that moment really did touch me. What about you?
I mean, for me, it was, and I wrote this down because it was just, it was a kind of a powerful line for me when he said, I don't really want anymore.
Man.
And that really shows his loss of humanity because even the Hound wants something. He wants everyone to be as miserable as he is.
That's true. And so it was just a nice moment. I know a lot of people have said that now that the Night King is gone, what is Bran's point in this story anymore? And I'm not sure. I'm not sure I know. Of course, he has a great moment later on that we'll get to when he's, has to give up the ghost, literally, about who Jon Snow's parents are. But still, it was pretty powerful. So we leave this kind of strong moment, and then we get to a great scene because Tormund is trying to get Jon Snow drunk. He's given toast. He gives a toast to the Dragon Queen first, which is very important. She gives a toast to Arya Stark, also very important. But then Tormund goes off, and he's like, Jon Snow, that's why you're a king. He climbed on a dragon. What man would climb on a dragon? He's so powerful. If I'm Daenerys, that is kind of upsetting me.
Well, even worse than that, what he actually says is you either have to be crazy or something else to get on a dragon. And so, considering her lineage, you don't really want to intimate that she might be crazy, aka mad.
No, you just want to wait till the end of the episode for that to happen.
Yeah, right, exactly. Important point here. Tormund, through the years, has given us sort of his philosophy on life, and I learned a new piece of his philosophy tonight, which is vomiting is celebrating.
Man, I'm surprised you don't know that, Catfish. I would think, knowing you as well as I do, I would actually think that would be one of your top things.
I mean, to me, whenever I get to that point, I no longer feel I'm celebrating. I feel like I'm punishing myself. So
Aw,
it's just a different worldview for Tormund Giantsbane.
aw. Now, while this is going on, we see the drinking game. The drinking game from season 1, episode 9. Tyrion's drinking game about, hey, it's pretty much never have I ever. And it's a drinking game going on. And Sir Brienne decides, finally, I'm going to let loose and have a couple of cocktails. So good.
Oh boy. I have heard a lot of we've heard the term slut shaming a lot. You don't often hear the term virgin shaming. But that's what happens here to Brienne.
You think, oh, man, that is tough. We have a great chat here on Facebook from Corey Bramblett, who said, don't neg the Dragon Queen at the feast. That's good advice. Corey, good work.
That's a great. I mean, pretty much just never neg her, I think.
So, did you like the Lannister boys, Pod and Brienne, having this drinking game? And then, hey, you're a virgin. Whoa. Way to get personal there, Tyrion.
I'm telling you, he made her feel super bad. That's just not nice.
No, and somebody who's looking around the room while everybody's having fun is Daenerys. She sees Tormund, Jon, all those guys, buddy. She looks over, she sees her hand of the queen, Tyrion there, partying with the man who killed her dad, with Brienne, and she kind of feels alone. She lost a lot of forces in this fight against the Night King, and a great shot, a shot that really sets up the rest of the episode, is when you see Daenerys looking at this and feeling left out, and then it pans around, and you see Varys noticing that she's noticing this and feeling left out. Very powerful, and also, we're going to talk about Varys when we get to his scene, but for somebody who hasn't had much to do in the first 3 episodes, he comes back with a vengeance now that it's a political game again. And
or even, to be honest, the full force of the deliciousness of his character has not been shown in at least 2, maybe 3 seasons. Like, he was super strong when he had games to play in King's Landing, and a little bit when he was first dealing with Tyrion on their on the run stuff. But he's back to the old Varys now for the first time in years.
Yeah, it really, really feels like it, and it'll be interesting what his role to play in this is. Do you think let's put ourselves in Daenerys's seat at this moment in the show? Should she feel terrible that she's kind of left out, that, she kind of has nobody now? Even Missandei wasn't there for her. How should Daenerys feel? She should be the hero. Obviously, she didn't strike the killing blow against the Night King, but without her troops, without her loss, it's kind of a big deal. And so when she didn't exactly storm out of the party, but when she kind of, said, okay, enough of this, I'm leaving, I felt bad for her. I just didn't, I guess I agree with it. I'm not sure I agree with it. Where are you on this?
I see her point, because this wasn't technically her fight, but she took it on as her fight. She's lost a lot of forces, and people just don't like her. she's not
Man,
likable. She's frightening. She's the woman with the dragons. So I understand. Of course,
catfish. Catfish, you say
she wants to be
people
celebrated more.
Catfish, you say people don't like her, and I'm just thinking to myself, oh my goodness gracious, is this an episode of Veep? What's going on? So tough. Once again, I want to shout out some of the people who are leaving comments right now. We have Mary Dillman on YouTube who says, Cersei is truly Tywin's legacy, and Shauna gave the episode 9 out of 10. We have double F's. She gave it for Fiery Friends. We also have Dooley's left leg in there, and we have a lot of people. We have Jacqueline Mukwi. I always worry I mispronounce that on Facebook. You guys keep giving us comments. We're going to try to jump to them as we do. Let's go ahead and follow.
Oh, come on. Well, let's go quickly to one of the comments because we've already said something about it. Oscar Di Romalo on Facebook said that Gendry was shot down harder than Rhaegal.
Oh, shot down harder than Rhaegal. That is tough. That is tough. Well, I was going to say, let's get to this moment. I was watching it with my buddy Jack again here, and as soon as Gendry went up to Arya, he knew that.
Well, hold on a second.
He knew that the game was given up. Well, we'll get back to.
But I have in my notes that what happened before. Oh, we'll get back to Sansa later.
Yeah, we'll get back to Sansa, Tormund's new lady friend, Pod's new lady friend. We'll get back to all them in a sec, and Sansa and the Hound. But let's just go because we're talking about getting shut down harder than Rhaegal. Let's go to Gendry. Like I said, my buddy Jack knew it was going to happen. He looks over and he says, "There is no way she's going to become Lady of Storm's End." Even though a couple podcasts ago I said, well, maybe that would be the twist, that she would become the Lady of Storm's End. I'm still saying there's maybe a 10% chance. But did you think in any way that Arya was going to go with Gendry's proposal? He got down on his knee, for goodness sake.
What is amazing to me, and again, this is, I keep talking about the stuff that I really like in this. Was it sort of a switcheroo for me? Because, of course, I thought, first of all, I thought she was really, really interested in him and would be interested in that. But as soon as I saw her, I saw him, I was like, oh, no, this is not going to happen. And then she gives him a smile, and I thought, okay, it's going to happen. And then it didn't happen. So it was a switcheroo for me, maybe just because I was stupid about it. But, it completely makes sense for her.
Right. And Gendry got tough. So another person who got shot down, which I think we all saw coming, was Tormund. Did you like that Tormund could bounce back so quickly? that some of these ladies in the north aren't afraid of wildings? You should be. What did you think about his rebound girl? Tormund on the rebound. What did you think about that?
Well, I thought it was great. I did not think that. I think a lot of people were trying to ship Tormund just because, he's a much more fun hang than Jaime. I will say this, the one benefit Jaime does have is, he's got a lot of different attachments for his arm. Some of those can be more useful in the bedroom. But for Tormund, but I do like the way he bounced back. And I'm super excited for the girl who hit on Podrick because, as we all know from words we've heard at King's Landing, she's in for quite a delightful surprise.
I know. I tell you, she might pay him. Let's be honest. Who knows? Okay, so let's get to this scene of the Hound and Sansa reuniting. This is something that actually a lot of Sand fans, that's people who kind of ship Sandor and Sansa, they were upset that the first 3 episodes didn't have any scenes of them together. We finally get it, and there's certainly some warmth there, but also some toughness. To see Sansa so hard is actually kind of sad in a way. You wish she could. If Arya can't get back to her human self because she's been through so much, you kind of wish Sansa could somehow get back, but she just can't. The Hound is trying to reach out to her. He's like, you used to not be able to look at me, Sansa. That was a long time ago. I've seen much worse than you, Sen.
Mm-hmm.
And Sandor's, he's trying to be honest. He's like, if you had come with me way back in the Battle of Blackwater, Season 2, Episode 9, you wouldn't have had Littlefinger. You wouldn't have had Ramsay. And in her line where she says, well, if I hadn't had them, I'd still be a little bird. I guess that's a strong way to kind of take take it and turn it into a positive. But boy, that was tough for me, I thought.
It was tough. I mean, this seems to be the new Stark family motto. Lots of horrible stuff has happened to us, but if they had it, we wouldn't be here.
Right, that's where Bran needed to roll up and drop his line.
Yeah. Yeah, no, they're all taking their new mottos from Bran. I'm not sure you should take your outlook on life from Bran, but she seems to be doing it. I'm with you in that it is a super positive way to look at things and just to say, like, I'm strong. Essentially nothing is going to hurt me now because I've been through everything and I'm stronger now. But it is sort of a tough. Sometimes when we do this podcast, I wish that we had a woman on with us. It struck me as a little. It just struck me as maybe a little that it might be problematic for female viewers to take that. Again, it is a positive, but on the other hand, it does sound a little. I don't know, tone deaf.
Yeah, well, we have just looking now at Facebook, we have Jacqueline and my good buddy Laura Stark are in. You guys write a comment in the Facebook chat. Let us know how you took Sansa's kind of the way she took some of the terrible abuse and things she's been through and tried to turn it around and say, well, it's made me stronger. I just thought it was very striking. Once again, I give the episode 9 out of 10. And so even if it shocks me, even if I wonder if it's problematic, it was just such a kind of it was a powerful scene. I think Sophie Turner, knocked it out of the park with her acting. And so I actually, that's one of the reasons I guess I like it, even if it was so shocking.
Mm-hmm.
Now, speaking of
it makes it. Mm-hmm.
Well, I was going to say, speaking of shocking, we got another pair to talk about in a bit. Brienne's first night. Do you want to get to that? A man came to her room late at night for a booty call. Her first booty call ever. And this is something that I talked about. There's some Sandor, and Sansa fans out there. I want to know how many people who just love the idea of Jaime and Brienne, love the idea of Jaime showing up and them stripping down just like they were in the bath back in season 3, episode 5. These two got together. I almost never thought I'd see that. Like you, Catfish, I've thought this has been kind of more of a platonic love at times, or while there might be a bit of, curiosity or a bit of lust, it's always been so much more than that. And so it was actually kind of shocking to see them stone cold get busy in the cold north. What did you think of these two, Catfish?
Well, I mean, I don't, who knows? Maybe it's just fan service. I mean, we love Tormund, but we love Brienne more. So obviously we want to see her get her desire more than Tormund. I think it was awesome that she got together with Jaime. She got knighted. She got together with Jaime. So, things went. She got some good things that she deserved. So I was happy about that.
We may need some of our triple L's.
Triple L's?
Loyal listener ladies to tell us if Jaime coming in and acting jealous of Tormund is a good look for us dudes. Does it turn you on when your man gets jealous, ladies? Let us know. We won't judge, or we'll be jealous if you want us to. We're always jealous anyway. We'll reveal it a bit more if you like it.
I mean, considering she's loved him for years and years, I don't really think that was that swayed her one way or the other.
Okay, so we've had some guys get rejected. We've had a couple hook up in Brienne and Jaime. And let's get to a couple that just can't seem to get on the same page. Daenerys and drunk Jon Snow. This scene is another one that I actually kind of loved, and it took us on this roller coaster of, they start off where Jon's, stumbling around drunk. We've been there, fellas. And then suddenly, he's not really doing great bedroom talk when he's like, I didn't know Ser Jorah, but he seemed like a good guy. way to bring up death when you're trying to,
Yeah.
when the girl you love. Of course, she really bared her soul. She's like, I couldn't love him like he wanted me to, like the way I love you. And they start this kiss, and you think, okay, it really is the happy ending everybody deserves. But something happened in this kiss, man, that just did not work for them. And I'm actually watching the kiss right now, trying to see what it is. What was the moment that kind of took them out of it? And
I mean, it wasn't him. It wasn't her. It was him.
Yeah, he started taking off her clothes, and then just suddenly do you think he suddenly thought, aunt, she's my aunt? What was it? Oh man, and her face. Oh,
yeah. That to me is, I mean, I can understand maybe it takes him a while to get over that. Like, it's funny that there's been a lot of talk about, okay, well, maybe it's okay in this world. Obviously, we don't accept it in our modern times, but no one has talked about it in this world, and so we actually don't get the conversation about it now. We get it later on between Varys and Tyrion about how he might be affected by it. So I think at this point, it's a little weird for us to go like I feel like a lot of audience members are on the side of their relationship, so they like put that aside. They're like, okay. Yeah, so it's this world. They're okay with it. They're cool with it. It's fine. So that makes us a little awkward because there hasn't been any talk about how he might feel about that up to this point. And in fact, it doesn't happen until later in the episode, and it's still not that big a deal. So it's understandable. It's far more understandable. Their relationship problems are far more understandable than their political problems that occur at the end of the scene that I want to talk about when we're done talking about this part.
Well, let's get to it, because she takes a turn. Like, she takes a turn. I know he's the one that pulled it off, but when he starts saying, listen, it's I've sworn to you, I don't want the throne, all this stuff, and she lays down the law. Listen, we can be together. Everything can be great. Go to Sam and Bran and swear them not to tell anybody else, and we'll keep it a secret. And Jon, is this the right move? My buddy Jack was screaming, don't do it, Jon. Don't do it, Jon. Don't do it, Jon. Is it the right move to come out and say, hey, sisters, we're not really related? What did you think about that? Was Jon Snow just knowing nothing, or is it correct that he's going to tell his sister? Is it correct that his girlfriend/aunt tells him not to tell anybody, or else? Ooh.
Okay, so to me, this brings up something that I think is really, really important, because as I was talking about earlier, I know a lot of people are upset about the way things are trending for Daenerys. Like, the show is showing maybe that she hasn't learned anything, that whatever her personality traits are not changing. The same exact thing is true for Jon Snow. So if you're upset, feel that Daenerys is sort of being not learning and growing, neither to me is Jon Snow, because the way he handles this whole thing is dumb. In fact, later on, Sansa says, men in my family don't do well in the capital. And I thought to myself, because they are sanctimonious rubes. Okay? This is so, they made this mistake already. Jon, he almost doomed the whole agreement with Cersei. He could have just done the same thing that Cersei, just give his word and then not keep it. That's the thing. I would think that Jon has learned the way he has to be, but he's still keeping these foolish and detrimental notions of honor in the world. If you're honorable in the world's going to pay you back. Well, he should have learned by now that that's not true. Sansa's learned that that's not true. Arya's learned that that's not true. The Stark women have learned how the world works, and Jon Snow has not. To me, this is his, even though I understand his side and I understand Daenerys' side, he's too dumb to be the king. Just like his father was too dumb to be the hand of the king.
Dang, these are
That's it.
powerful.
I'm done.
These are powerful words. Listeners, write to us at DoublePHQ on Twitter and Instagram, Facebook.com/DoublePHQ. Go to YouTube, search the Joffrey Podcast, find us. Do you feel as strongly as our boy Catfish that our boy Jon Snow is just being dumb? In the previously on, they had shown a scene of Jon and Arya reuniting where she's like, listen, remember we're family, remember we're family. And that's going to come up huge in this next scene where they're going, okay, this is the way it is. The Greyjoy fleet and the Golden Company are in King's Landing. Our troops are small. What are we going to do? Daenerys gives her, we're going to pull them out root and stem line. And then Sansa, which I think she has a point, she's just got to sell it smoother. Sansa's like, let's rest. Daenerys, I think correctly says, well, how long is rest? And then Sansa just really gives up the ghost. Literally, not the ghost dog like Jon Snow gives up the ghost. Sansa's like, we're not going. Forget it. And this scene, ooh, man, we are back in a political game. And why can't these people agree? It's heartbreaking. I guess it makes sense, but holy smokes.
But to me, again, this is where Daenerys has good points, but her thirst to get her justice blinds her to the right way of doing things. And this has become a pattern. Again, like I said, this is not something that's new. It's not like the writers are going, let's all of a sudden make her, the mad queen. Maybe it's a little accelerated, but everything is accelerated in this season. But again, this is it's a bad move. Like, take a little time, maybe so people don't have to be limping down the King's Road.
Walk it off. Walk it off, guys.
Right, exactly.
You just fought the army of the dead. Walk off your bruises and broken bones and everything. Oh. But Sansa, once again, if she had just said anything, if she had just given any number, like let's rest for 3 months, let's do anything. And Daenerys calls her on it. I came north to fight alongside you at great cost to my armies. Now the time has come to reciprocate. And Jon stands by his queen, and the look he gives over to Arya and Sansa, ooh, boy. He is in the middle, literally between his girlfriend and his sisters, and in the middle. He's just in a bad spot, so he may know nothing. We have some people in the YouTube chat said Jon went full Ned. Ouch. But
somebody in Facebook said talking sense to a Stark is like beating your head against a post.
Oh, man.
But I would say again, it's only Jon Snow. I feel like Arya and Sansa have it right. I mean, Daenerys is in the wrong there. You need to rest up a little bit. My God, you don't want to go in with a weak army.
You don't want to go in with a weak army in winter. How are you going to feed all these people who have to go all the way down? But oh, boy.
Right. You can't put the food on the wagons because you got to put the people who are injured on the wagons. So hopefully they'll be better by the time you get there.
Oh, man. And this, I should point out, this scene is only 37 odd minutes into the episode. We have still 43 minutes to cover. So powerful, so strong. We go out to the Godswood. You know that we haven't had many scenes of the 4 remaining Starks / Jon Snow, not really a Stark. And we get them together there in the Godswood where the Night King died. Do you think some of his ice cubes are still there? And Jon Snow is arguing his point. He's like, listen, I swore to her. Arya says she respects it, but she agrees with Sansa. Jon Snow is about to give up the ghost. He looks to Bran for guidance. Bran is like, dude, it's on you. Bran was not going to give Jon Snow any help. He's like, you decide, not me. And Jon Snow tells Arya and Sansa, is that the right move, yes or no?
Well, I just want to be clear because some of the dialogue was on screen and then the telling of it was off screen. We didn't need to see him tell it. We know what he's telling them. So basically, this is the way it went. He says to them, can you keep a secret? They're like, why? He says, you have to keep a secret because we're family. And then presumably the next thing he says off screen is, we're not family.
Well, come on.
So I'm a little confused by that. I would have said to him, so wait, can I tell the secret now? Because we're not family.
So good, so good. But then he doesn't even tell them. Remember, it's Bran. So, Jon Snow,
Oh, yeah.
not much of a talker. He's like, go ahead and tell them. Oh, geez. Oh, geez. I call me crazy. Because Sansa immediately tells somebody, in hindsight,
No.
it's the wrong move. But this is the only
In hindsight,
well, listen, this is the only family he's had, the only left. Everybody else is dead. You can't, you're desperately trying to get them on your side to bend the knee to Queen Daenerys fully. And, I think it's a 50-50 shot, but,
This is why Jon and Ned before him were dumb. Because they say to themselves, I'm going to do the right thing. And then because I'm doing the right thing, there won't be consequences that human beings normally face. Right? She's completely right. If she tells people, we see it happen. Once she starts telling people, Varys starts saying, well, God, he's got a right to it. Let's move Daenerys out. I mean, she predicts exactly what's going to happen. It's just, you can't just say to yourself, like, I'm going to tell the truth and think people won't react in the way that human beings react.
listen,
These
Catfish.
they're dumb.
Listen, Catfish, I need to tell you a secret. You just have to promise not to tell anybody, okay?
Yeah, let me hear it.
Now listen, we're friends. You can't tell anybody this secret, all right?
Okay, well, okay, only...
We're not friends.
Are you going to tell me?
Well, we're not friends.
I'm not telling anybody. I'm telling everybody. No, I'm still going to pretend that you're my friend. Because then the number goes down to 1.
I felt the next scene was kind of a throwaway scene. Bronn finally shows up. Way to miss the battle, Bronn. And what is he saying? Suddenly he's willing to take High Garden. Literally, Jaime kind of pitched High Garden to him last season, and he said, too much upkeep. Too much stuff weighs you down. And now he's been offered River Run. Where's Edmure Tully when you need him? And they say, well, listen, you can get High Garden. You can be Lord of the Reach. And he's like, okay, bye, guys. What is going on with Bronn? He's just not doing anything. And I kind of, once again, I thought this was a throwaway scene, even though it's fun that Uncle Tyrion didn't get his nose broken.
Yeah, it's odd too because it's a little unsatisfying because this was set up and I guess it's dissatisfying because we talked about it so much on this podcast. We're like, oh, what's Bronn going to do? What's his decision going to be? Da, da, da. And we pretty much assumed that this would be the case, right? That he would threaten them and then, take the better deal. But it's, I guess they just don't have a lot of time to deal with stuff like this. But it feels like it should have been more important, which is why it was throwaway. So, yeah, I would have liked to have seen more. It was still amusing to see Bronn. It was full badass Bronn. I mean, he's the best.
Oh, yeah. I can't even remember his great line to Jaime about, like, you ever have a chance, one-handed freak against me. Forget it. But let's go ahead, Catfish. Let's make some predictions. My predictions this year haven't been that great, but let's get to it. Any chance Bronn does end up 2 episodes from now, Lord of Highgarden and Lord of the Reach? Who would make him that? Would Daenerys say she ends up on top? No. Would Jon Snow? Doubtful. I guess his really only chance is that somehow Tyrion ends up on top, if that's what he's going to get.
Right. Well, that would mean that, let's say Sir Knuckles dies and Tyrion becomes Jon's Hand of the King.
Oh.
Then in that case, yes, that would be the, I mean, Bronn has to be a little bit softer than he thought. Then he comes off, right? I mean, he does end up not killing them, even though he makes a deal. I mean, it seems tenuous who's going to win, really.
Right, and he seems to be making the deal because he's like, I've seen Daenerys' dragons. She's going to win. But if really all you have to do is kill one of these Lannister boys, then you get gold, and then you can just run away from the fight between Cersei and Daenerys, do it, man. But instead, no, he rides off. He's not even going to fight in any of these battles.
Well,
he's like, later, guys.
maybe Bronn is just smarter than Jon Snow in that he doesn't trust Cersei's word.
The next scene in the episode is the Hound riding south, we assume, and Arya pulls up alongside him. I think the only thing you can assume is that the Hound is going after his brother, quote unquote, the only thing that'll make him happy. Arya says she has some unfinished business too, and the biggest mic drop of the episode, she says she's not coming back to Winterfell. Holy smokes, no, Arya, come on. Oh, that's sad. We didn't even see a goodbye scene between her and Sansa
sad.
or Bran or Jon. She didn't have a goodbye scene with any of them.
Well, yeah, right. So many people were so excited. To me, I was more excited for her to meet the Hound again, which is why I love them taking their act on the road again. To me, this is my favorite. This is my favorite road couple. I just love them.
If somehow, and I'm not predicting it, if somehow these guys end up the series both alive and like they ride off into the sunset on their next adventure, how is that not the spin-off show, huh? These two on the road, love it.
Amazing. That would be the best show ever. Yeah, I mean, obviously we know what her unfinished business is. Now that basically we know she's the king killer, right? So now she can become the queen killer.
Love it. We'll see. Theoretically, it's all going to go down next episode. I am so hyped. Daenerys goes and checks on her dragons. Rhaegal's kind of flying tough, but he is flying. Drogon ends up flying. That scene of the dragons leads us to Sansa, who, after a little bit of hesitation, looks at her ex-husband Tyrion and gives up the ghost and tells him of Jon's true parentage. This is a game of telephone. Everybody's telling everybody. Oh, was Sansa right to tell Tyrion?
Really?
Oh, because Tyrion does a good pitch. He's doing what I'm trying to do, Sansa. Except Daenerys, she's good. Trust that Tyrion knows what he's doing. And she's just she's so set in her ways against Daenerys. Daenerys is not Ramsay. Daenerys is not Littlefinger. Daenerys, there might be things to dislike about her, but come on, Sansa. But no, she has to drop it like it's hot and tell Tyrion about Jon Snow's true parentage. Holy smokes.
Well, you know what that reminds me of, though? It kind of puts to rest a debate we were having for the longest time, and it's funny that it puts it to rest without addressing it directly, is that for the longest time, especially with, the part of the scene that we didn't see with Tyrion and Cersei and the deal they made and all the questions, are you with me? Are you with my family? In a couple of scenes tonight, Tyrion really goes all in on Daenerys in a way that felt like it was up in the air before.
Yeah, he is gone all in. And we'll get to talk about this more when he has this scene with Varys, because, I really wanted to go off on Varys, actually. I was siding with evil Uncle Tyrion in that, but we'll hold off on it for a bit. So Sansa gives up the ghost. And then, of course, the next scene is one that I keep saying, give up the ghost. The next scene is of Jon Snow giving up ghost and him saying goodbye to Tormund. Is this our goodbye to Tormund? He says, you never know, we might see each other again. He tells Jon, you're better in the north too. And he says goodbye. Jon Snow says goodbye to pregnant Gilly and Sam. And is that the goodbye? Will any of these people see each other ever again? Is this it for Ghost Catfish? What are your thoughts?
I think that you know what, we could see the Ghost and Tormund. That should be a spin-off.
The spin-off,
special.
yeah.
Yes. You forgot to mention my favorite line of the episode, which is also commenting on something that does seem that also seems like could be an issue.
Let's hear it.
Because he says to Jon, "How come you're not riding the dragon?" And the excuse, maybe not an excuse. It didn't seem to me like a good excuse. He says, he's recovering it, and Tormund says, "What's the big deal? You weigh as much as two fleas fucking," which is true considering the size. of the dragon. Like John's nothing. I mean, he weighs. If he took off his jacket, he'd be 30 pounds. He'd be like 90 pounds, dripping wet.
So are you implying that Jon Snow didn't get on Rhaegal and fly south with Rhaegal because he's trying to avoid Daenerys and avoid this conflict that's natural in him?
Well, I wonder if it's Daenerys feeling threatened because people recognize that Jon could ride the dragons too, and so she wants to be the only dragon rider because that is her power. Nobody. She's got her army,
Right.
and I don't know. Somebody mentioned, and you've got the Dothraki, and I'm like, where? I thought those guys were all gone.
No, there was one Dothraki that I noticed in the War Council room. One guy, it wasn't our boy Kono.
Excellent.
It was a Kono wannabe.
Kono's Gano. So I thought maybe it was her trying to reassert her I'm special, only I can ride the dragons. But, maybe I'm thinking too much. He probably does want to be with his land forces, but still potential, off-screen conversation filled with intrigue that I imagined.
Okay, so at round robin, will Jon Snow see Tormund, Ghost, or Sam and Gilly again? What are your thoughts?
He won't, but we will.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I see that. Let's get on those.
And what do you think about your boy Sam? Getting it done.
Finally. Sam, listen, we got to repopulate the Tarleys. They've kind of they've lost some people. So we have a little bit of...
Poor Sam negs himself. He negs himself. He implies the only reason Gilly would sleep with him was because it was cold and there was nothing else to do. Poor guy.
The truth is the truth, baby. It worked for Craster.
Oh, boy.
Okay, so once again, we're getting on the love boat. We have a nice little hand-holding moment between Grey Worm and Missandei. Ooh, the kiss of death. Then we go downstairs to this scene we've been talking about. The first of two, Varys and Tyrion down in the boat. And Tyrion has told Varys, or maybe Varys' little spies have got him in, and they're already debating treason. Later on in the episode, they're going to call it treason. Maybe we should talk about both these scenes right now. Who's right?
Yeah, Varys. Treason.
Who's right, Varys or Tyrion? Let's hear it.
I mean, I think considering what we've seen, even at that point of the episode, I thought that Varys was right. And further events of the episode proved to me that Varys is going to end up being right.
I think.
Now, what did you think?
I think Tyrion, number one, he's sticking with the girl who, with the one who brought you. Daenerys brought him. He's got to stick by his queen. He keeps pitching this idea, and Varys keeps poo-pooing. He keeps pitching, let's just get him married. I think marriage a child possibly, could turn away the anger in Daenerys. Obviously, the end of the episode is going to prove that wrong. But dang it.
Yeah, but remember, even though we thought that maybe something miraculous could happen because it's Game of Thrones, supposedly she can't have children.
True, we'll have to see.
So I don't know whether that would help or not. But Tyrion has always talked about, he's talking whenever he's talking to someone, when he's talking to Sansa and when he's talking to Varys, I feel like he's talking about a person that he imagined he saw or he wanted to see. He's not talking about a person that actually exists in the world. That is the person he's talking about is not Daenerys.
Okay, he's talking about his dream version of Daenerys, which he's seen a couple of times. Daenerys has had rough moments, but she has really good moments, and so that's who he's talking about. And this idea that he kind of gets in the later conversation where he's like, listen, how many kings have you served? You've hopped from this person to this person to this person. I do think that's a flaw in Varys' kind of shuffling of, no, I worship this person, no, I worship that person. So I kind of, once again, I agreed with Tyrion.
Yeah. I don't. Again, Varys can only see it's because of his upbringing. We all see like, okay, who he's trying to figure out who's the best person who can take the throne. But for me, I think Jon is a horrible choice to be king as well, because he's a dumbass Stark with naive notions about the world. Sansa would be the best.
All right, listeners, you have to write us. There are only 2 weeks left. Go ahead and tweet at us, Instagram, Facebook, at @PHQ. It's 55 minutes into the episode where they're arriving back on Dragonstone, and there's this beautiful shot of both dragons flying around. And honest to God, I want to tell you, listeners, that when I saw this shot, I kind of thought to myself, boy, why are we wasting money on another beauty shot of these dragons? Aren't there other effects we need to do? But it was totally setting us up for the Double D.
Double D.
Dragon down. Rhaegal goes down in one of the most shocking things I've ever seen. Holy smokes, he gets one in the gut, in the the kind of the breastbone area. I'm not a vet, so I can't tell you. Then he gets one through the wing. He gets one through the neck, and then he starts.
And then he gets through the head, and then spewing out blood. That was pretty much when you're this doesn't seem like he's going to come back from this. Where is the Night King when you need him?
Oh my God, how in the world? There's no way a boat can be steady enough to fire these things at all accurately. But when I saw evil Uncle Euron shooting this thing, and I saw Daenerys' face, she is pissed, man. I thought, oh my God, what's going on? Because of the because of the trailer for this week's episode, I knew Euron gets back to Cersei somehow, but I'm thinking to myself, how does she not light him up? This is crazy. And then Daenerys, under this onslaught of shooting, she flies away. Now, I would think it'd be, there's got to be a way you could spin around and get behind them quicker than they could possibly got, but she has to fly. That's what I thought
too. That's what I thought too, and I thought that, obviously they could swivel them, so it's not really, it's the sky. I'm not sure how high she could go to hide from them and then sneak up on them. It makes sense, but to me, honest to God, because I know the way she is, that was the most shocking thing I've ever seen her do, to actually run away from a fight. You could say all kinds of things about Daenerys, and I have, that she never learns that she's a bad queen. But never, ever would I have thought of that she was going to bail on a fight. I mean, it's smart, but again, they don't make her the smartest person who's easily angered and not thinking of long-term implications. So I mean, the things she's done.
So then Uncle Euron, he's like, okay, the dragon flew away. It's time to blow up these ships. Holy smokes, what a turn in this episode. Suddenly, hell is breaking loose. This was hardcore, and of course I loved it. It brings me back to old Game of Thrones stuff. Uncle Tyrion, he's famed for getting knocked out in battles. It seemed like one of the masts fell off the ship and knocked him out, but of course he's saved and brought to shore. Varys, I thought I shouldn't have laughed because this was such a tragic defeat for our heroes, but seeing Varys in his big cloak trying to swim to shore, I mean, holy smokes.
Horrible.
And Grey Worm, as soon as he couldn't find Missandei, to be honest, I didn't think she would. I thought she would just be dead, but the fact that she was captured,
me too,
even worse.
Yeah, that was a brilliant. That was a brilliant move, I think, by the writers to save her as a piece, and a very important piece. Very important piece.
We cut to King's Landing. Cersei is letting all the people into the castle. You want to come and get me in the castle? You're going to have to kill innocent people. To be honest, I actually pitched this going into season 7 as well, because way back then we were like, well, how in the world can Cersei compete with the Dothraki and the Unsullied and Dorne and the Reach and all of Daenerys' allies? And somehow or another, Cersei keeps winning, and finally she's at my idea about, okay, dudes, let's just bring everybody in. You want me? You're going to have to come in and get me. Evil Uncle Euron gets down on one knee to propose. She keeps putting him off. Once the battle's over, and Cersei's doing her old move, the one she did with Robert. It's your kid, Euron. He'll be the new king. Even Qyburn has to nod and say, yeah, she's pregnant, dude. What do you think about
I
your
like how
girl?
he looks over to Qyburn, and Qyburn's like, "That's right." Qyburn's like, "It's a bit odd for me to deal with living things, but I'm pretty much confirmed that's true. There's something living inside of her. But I wish I could make it undead." Um, I mean, what she's. I'm not sure why she does that. I mean, does she really? Do you really imagine, because she thinks several steps ahead smartly? As I said, she turned out to be the right one in the whole, the White Walkers are an existential threat. No, they're not. We'll just wait, let them pick them off. um I can't imagine that she really wants to rule with this jabroni, because as much as we love this smack talking braggart,
I love Uncle Euron.
oh man, I mean, you can't, Uncle Euron is your spirit animal. Um, so I can't imagine that she. I mean, I guess that's the decision she's made. She's stuck with him now, so that, like she said, she can rule the land and he can rule the seas. Still seems like she'd maneuver to get him out of the way later.
Daenerys and Grey Worm is coming in. He's saying, "We will storm the city. We will kill our queen's enemies." Varys and Tyrion keep bitching the idea. We've had a debate between Varys and Tyrion. Now let's debate, is Daenerys right? I've got to show strength, and at a certain point, I've just got to light up these jerks. What do you think?
Again, this is the same trait that she has that leads her to do things that are really, really bad ideas. I mean, she just, her imperiousness in the North didn't serve her well. This is definitely not going to be good. I mean, if you're going to kill thousands of innocent people, like, this is what I was talking about earlier. I mean, she literally becomes the maker of chains, not the breaker of chains, if she's going to do this kind of stuff. I can't see any other answer to it than that. I have respectfully disagree with you on lots of things in this episode, but I just couldn't agree with anybody that thinks like that's a good move for her. She'll show that she's a just and deserved ruler if she kills a bunch of innocent people. It's just wrong.
Listen, you're giving the people a choice. Throw Cersei down or get barbecued. BYOB, baby. Okay.
Listen, we know the real problem is that Daenerys refers to herself in the third person in the scene, and that's when you got real problems.
Okay, here we go. Daenerys, back up in Winterfell, Jaime sees Brienne talking to Sansa. He goes up, he's like, "Hey, ladies, what's up?" And it's like, okay, you're on Greyjoy, ambush, they killed the dragon. Sansa is totally talking smack. She's like, "Man, I always wanted to be there when they executed your sister," to Jaime. Oh, hashtag ice cold. I love it, man. I love talking smack to Jaime.
Awesome.
But this is when his story gets a big change. I thought it was a bit odd that he was going to live up in Winterfell with Brienne and start a new life. But this does it, and this gets to one of the most, I think, emotionally powerful moments in the episode. I went 9 out of 10. Catfish, you only went 8 out of 10. But Jaime dissing Brienne and saying, "You think I'm a good guy? I did all these things. Suck it." Oh, that was powerful, I thought. I thought that was really powerful. That deserves a 9 on its own. The whole episode deserves a 9 for that.
That was great, but no, you're wrong about that. My question to you is, though, just as a question. So, based on that scene, what's your interpretation of what Jaime is going to go do?
That is a great question. He's going down to Cersei. He's gonna. If I had to guess, because if I had to guess, he's gonna try to do what Tyrion did: talk her down, talk her out of it. The fact that he was so cold to Brienne, powerful scene. He's like, listen, I pushed a boy out of the window for Cersei. I choked my own cousin. There you go. In season 2, excuse me. He choked his cousin. We haven't forgotten, Jamie. I would have killed everybody in Riverrun. Going back to season 6 there. He's not going back to be in love with Cersei. He's going back to try to talk some sense into her. Or possibly.
He's not doing that either. He's not doing that. I think what he's saying is, I mean, he knows talk with her is useless. So he's either going back there to protect her, he's either saying in this scene, she's a horrible person, but I'm a horrible person, and we deserve each other, and I love her. Or what I think he's saying is, she's a horrible person. I became a horrible person because of the things I did for her that she asked me to, and because of that, I need to kill her. That's what I think he's saying.
Well, Brienne herself says you don't need to die with her. So, of course, Sansa said, I wish I was there when they executed your sister. Is he going because he can't let her be executed, or because he wants to die if she is executed? Ooh, very powerful scene. I just loved it. Catfish, yeah. I've talked so much about why I loved it, and I know 8 out of 10 is really not that different from 9 out of 10. Has there been anything that kind of once again took off those 2 points that you want to mention? We don't want to be all praise here on the Joffrey podcast. Like His Grace King Joffrey, first of his name, first in your hearts. We're going to put a little lemon juice on those cuts.
I mean, for me, it's just still residual. We spent, as much time in this episode as we did in last episode, and even though there was still some important personal things that happened, and the show's about personality and people, so that's important, but it's also about mystical, magical things, and the White Walkers were a big part of that. So the fact that they're gone early, it's still residual sadness from the way things are shaken here.
Okay, let's get to the final scene, the final location of the episode, the walls outside of one area of King's Landing. Missandei is up on top of the walls, as is the mountain, Franken Mountain, Gregor, Clegane. We've got Uncle Euron. We've got Cersei up there. We've got a bunch of these scorpions. Yeah, we got a bunch of these scorpions that can start shooting out. I'm kind of like Drogon, fly a bit further back. Daenerys and her very small remaining bit of Unsullied is there. Boy, I would not be that close, Daenerys. I would really. Who's to say they couldn't? Fair. Who's to say they wouldn't just open the gates to the city right now, and the Golden Company, 20,000 men, would come out and slaughter all these people? Come on.
Yeah.
But instead, who comes out? But another one of my favorite characters. It's funny that so many of my favorite characters are on Team Cersei. It's Qyburn, and he's coming out.
And also that they're horrible people. You didn't mention that.
You didn't think. So, once again, I gave this episode 9 out of 10. Another reason why I was so high, and it was just a little moment. Tyrion's like, listen, we don't want to hear the sound of children burning. And Qyburn says, yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah,
he knows what it sounds like.
Well, no, I wrote that down because I wrote a note there because even though he agrees that it's terrible, he doesn't really sound like he minds it.
No, I think he's got it on loop.
It's terrible. It's terribly delicious.
Catfish, he's got it on loop on his iPad. That's all he listens to. Like when he's working out, he puts his iPod on. He doesn't listen to podcasts like us. He just listens to kids screaming in agony. Love it.
Yeah, Qyburn. Oh, yeah. That was a beautiful moment for sure.
So Uncle Tyrion, he loves to threaten himself, and Cersei, who seemingly hired Bronn to kill Tyrion with a crossbow, she could have Tyrion killed 1,000,000 times over when he walks up to the city, and he's freaking, he walks up to the city, he doesn't have any shield. She could have him shot 1,000,000 times. She doesn't shoot Tyrion, and instead she takes out, let's pour one out for the lovely Natalie Emmanuel, who I always say I met in a Ralph's supermarket on Sunset Boulevard all those years ago in Hollywood, California. Actually, it had to have been right before season 4 that I met her. And she went out like a boss. I loved her final words, Dracarys. Man, I loved it. It got me so hyped.
Man,
loved it.
I was wondering the dragon was going to show up. Like, what's nice was they had a real long delay between when she said it and when she got beheaded. And I thought, well, this would be cool. Dragon, show up right now.
So good. Tyrion, what are you doing? Here I've defended you for defending Daenerys so long. But what was your plan when you walked up? And the one thing I have to be honest, when he's up and he's like, Cersei, your children, you love your children. I know you're not a monster. If you stand down now, your child will live. I was so sure he was going to say, and Jaime's child will live. And Euron would be like, hey, what now?
Yeah, right. Yeah, I was a little worried that secret would come out too. If Cersei been like, Ixnay on the children, nay.
But she didn't kill Tyrion. Does Cersei actually love her family somehow? Not just her kids, but her brother Tyrion, who she always used to blame for her mother's death. Why doesn't she kill him now?
I mean, this whole thing, like you say, it's a very small army. I think this is the kind of thing we have to accept. The sort of medieval notions of battle, and that when you go to parley, you don't attack if it's specifically just a parley. So, whatever. It's not the way we would do it.
When you go to weddings, it's supposed to be a parley. Walder Frey didn't worry about any of that stuff. Cersei somehow, or maybe she just loves that she's in so much of control. Maybe she just believes, I can't be defeated, because she doesn't worry about keeping a prisoner anymore. R.I.P. Missandei. Grey Worm's going to go in and kick ass. I mean, I'm not sure he's going to survive next week, but he is going to go to town. Oh, man.
Now, I mean, the other thing you have to wonder is, something that we probably don't think about because we know how important Missandei is to Daenerys, but it seems really unlikely that Cersei would know that. How important Missandei. Oh, actually, well, no, she saw her before when they had the big meet, right?
Right, in
so
the
then she does
pit, right?
Yeah, but still, she doesn't think, for example, Cersei wouldn't care if somebody killed her handmaiden. So why would she think that Daenerys really cares about Missandei?
Oh,
so
poor Bernadette, our number 6 most important character. No, number
Bernadette.
5. Number 5 most important character coming in. Bernadette hasn't appeared yet. Catfish. This episode.
That means she's still alive.
This episode. Let's go a bit big picture. I think there was a big rift in the fandom last week about that episode. I know some people hated the darkness. Some people hated the battle strategy of sending the Dothraki out to pretty much certain doom. Some people hated the fact that Arya did it when it felt out of nowhere. Is this episode going to bring everybody back into the fold, everybody to be back on board for these final 2 episodes ever of Game of Thrones?
Well, I think the fact that people could actually see what was going on this week will help them be able to come back for the last 2 weeks.
I hope so. This face Daenerys gives that ends the episode, she is so PO'd. I'm just excited. As crazy as it is, I might be as excited for next week as I was for the battle against the dead. This is big time. R.I.P. Missandei. R.I.P. anybody living next week. It's great.
So basically what we think is now we've got 2 episodes left. Logically, next week they deal with Cersei, and then week it's whatever internecine battles between Daenerys and the Starks. It's going to be the Daenerys live and learn, or does she die?
Catfish, I this sounds ridiculous, but I'm not so sure Cersei doesn't survive next week. This show has really zigged where we thought it would zag. I've loved it. I thought it was great. And so no predictions from me. What are your thoughts?
I mean, it's so funny because for the longest time, I was all grumbly about the books. A lot because they weren't coming out, and also because he was adding more and more stuff when I thought narrow things down, that way we can actually get to an ending. And I've trusted the show more, and in these last few episodes I've trusted the show less. Now that's not to say that, I mean, part of the reason why George R.R. Martin is maybe not writing these books as fast is because he in how to end it. So if he ever does end up ending it, who knows whether he will end it any more satisfactorily. But it's tough. I've lost some faith in feeling like a satisfying ending is coming.
Listeners, write to us and let us know. I keep saying it. We want you to get on the Season 8 Survivor list at PPHQ on Twitter, on Instagram, Facebook.com/@PPHQ. I'm excited. I'm thrilled. I'm over the moon. I think it's going to be great. Catfish, we have one thing to do before we wrap up this episode. You know what that is?
I do. It is our Joffrey of the Week.
Now, explain to our listeners once again what our Joffrey of the Week, who we're celebrating.
Well, obviously we're celebrating. Why is because most people get this, some people don't, but most people understand that Joffrey is the greatest character, living or fictional, ever created, the greatest sentient being in the universe, because he has so many aspects to himself that are just perfection.
Yeah.
And so what we like to do is, since we're talking about it, and what we've been teasing, but we don't like to hit too much, is because we don't want to spoil too much. Is obviously everyone knows that Joffrey faked his own death, and he will be taking the throne in episode 6. But because we find him so inspiring, he inspired this podcast. We like to name somebody every week who inspired us the way Joffrey did. No one can have all of his amazing qualities.
No.
But someone can have just one little small piece of Joffrey. And so we like to bring them. So maybe you can aspire to be like the person we mentioned, since it's so hard to aspire to be Joffrey. So that's our Joffrey of the Week. So, Bubba, do you want to go first?
Well, I do want to go first. And that is that King Joffrey, you like to say it, I like to say it. Sometimes King Joffrey liked to lead from behind. But the main thing is that King Joffrey was always going to win. Whatever it took to do the right thing for the Seven Kingdoms, Joffrey was going to do. He didn't worry about rules. He didn't worry about whose claim is right. He would do what was right. And so because King Joffrey would do whatever it took to win, my Joffrey of the Week is Maximum Security. The horse at the Kentucky Derby who was disqualified for doing whatever it took to win. Following in King Joffrey's footsteps, or hoof steps in this case. Hoof steps, that's hard to say.
Perfect. Yes. No, but it's
Maximum
perfect.
Security would do whatever it took to stay in the lead, to stay on the Iron Throne. And because he did it, Maximum Security, my Joffrey of the Week.
Wow, that is pretty good. But I've actually got one better.
Better?
Now, yeah, for most of the same reasons you said, for someone who knows what they need to do to prevail in a situation, who's someone that knows that if their situation is good, if their life is good, then that'll mean life is better for everybody. So, of course, they have to focus on their own needs and wants.
Mm-hmm.
So, obviously, and not only tangentially, someone who's been proven to be right over and over again, just how Joffrey was right. My Joffrey of the Week is someone who birthed. Cersei is my Joffrey of the Week. It's as close as you're going to get to Joffrey, and she deserves it.
Queen Cersei, the mother of his grace, ending up as the leader. Boy, that's pretty strong there, Catfish.
Yeah, well, she knows what to do to get people to do either what she wants them to do or do something stupid and rash. She's manipulating all the right chords with everybody.
Man, Catfish, they have released the episode title. This one is a true shocker. And for fans of The Last Jedi, let me tell you, the name of this episode is The Last of the Starks. Ooh.
Oh.
Crazy episode title, huh? 80 minutes of fun. Listeners, you know how to write us. You know everything we want to talk to you about in the 2 remaining weeks. My name's Bubba. You can find me on Twitter at FittenTrim. That's FITTENTRIM at FittenTrim on Twitter.
And I am Catfish. You can hit me up at CJGman67 on Twitter. Bubba.
And, yeah.
We can only say this 2 more times. Can you believe it?
Let's say it.
You'll hear us next time on
The
Joffrey of
Podcasts. Oh, what was the line again? Gendry got shot down worse than Rhaegal. Oh, so great. We love our loyal listeners.
Yes. So good.
All right, Catfish, I'm going to stop.